Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Robert T. Green. I'm the CEO of Pre-Post Game. Welcome to the African American Athlete Pre-Post Game podcast, sponsored by the African American Athlete. I am Robert T. Green, the CEO of Pre-Post Game. Today is Monday, July the 17th, and I'm doing this broadcast simply because I was sitting back listening to Sirius XM Radio, and listening to the discussion regarding LeVeon Bell and some of these athletes in the NFL. From franchise tags perspective, and I want to put this on record so again you guys can understand the real business sense of what's going on in the National Football League, but not only the National Football League, but what's going on in the NCAA that directly ties into these decisions being made in the National Football League. So again, this show is hosted by Mr. Ricky Hampton and Mr. Michael Robinson. Tune in tonight. Check them out at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I know they're going to have on Mr. Jerry Ball, a former Minnesota Viking, great NFL defensive tackle tonight. So check them out at 10 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can find out information at www.theafricanamericanathlete.com. So let's get right into it. LeVeon Bell, regardless, the best player on the Pittsburgh Steelers. So to catch everybody up, understand about the business situation, LeVeon Bell was offered recently a 5-year, $70 million contract from the Pittsburgh Steelers. Mr. LeVeon Bell is what they consider a dual threat situation when it comes to the National Football League. He's a running back, but he also does a lot of catches and receivers. Over the last 4 to 5 years, Mr. LeVeon Bell has touched the ball approximately about 400 times per game. And for those of you who don't understand about when I say sports is not a game, sports is all business, every time LeVeon Bell touches the ball, whether it's in practice or in a game, his body is losing another carry to be able to make money. And again, as people don't know, sports is a short-lived career. So with that being said, LeVeon Bell turned down an essential contract and is going to play for the second year in a row what they call the franchise tag. So to educate you guys what a franchise tag is, a team in particular, if a guy is not signed to a long-term deal, can give that player a franchise tag. You could do it up to 2 times in that player's career with that team. However, that player gets their franchise tag. It is an average of the 10 top players at his position when he's in the National Football League. So it's very, very important that when you actually coming through college to the pros, that you actually make sure you're playing the position that you want to play. For example, many of you guys don't remember back when Jimmy Graham, a former tight end from New Orleans out of the University of Miami, wanted to be classified as a wide receiver based off the contract or how he was being utilized. However, he got drafted as a tight end, and so based off the market back when, they listed Jimmy Graham as a tight end, and he did not able to receive the money he wanted, even though he was making and playing like a wide receiver, making wide receiver plays and making wide receiver numbers. So once again, that's very, very important. Classification, that's the first thing. Secondarily speaking, when people hear terms such as guaranteed and fully guaranteed, is why I'm doing this video right now, listening to some of these former GMs that no longer have jobs in the National Football League. They should remain nameless. But to continue to try to use the fans against these actual athletes to say they're not worth the money that they get. As I said when I first started, LeVeon Bell is the best player on the Pittsburgh Steelers, not Ben Roethlisberger. Not the Ben Roethlisberger that told people a couple years ago he wanted to retire, and essentially is still up for another contract in the next year or so, even though he's going to the back end. So once again, if you're talking about paying a team and having a salary cap, you can pay the team, you can pay the player based off what their production is. And again, when you talk about Ben Roethlisberger's success, when you talk about Antonio Brown's success, LeVeon Bell in his career as a running back has touched the ball as running back, wide receiver, approximately 400 times a year. So at 27, going on 26 right now, going on 27, his longevity in this game is coming to an end. So he needs to maximize and capitalize as much capital as he could possibly get, regardless of what people try to talk about through the fans and through the media. So I want to educate you guys on that from there. So here we go. Basic numbers. This year, LeVeon Bell is going to play under the franchise tag, which is about $14.5 million, which means after this season, regardless, he can become a free agent. So when LeVeon Bell becomes a free agent, he can test the market, as they say, and test his waters with other teams who also have salary caps where they, regardless of the fact, have to spend money on the actual team and the players. So for that reason, if LeVeon Bell was to take this 5-year, $70 million contract, once again, when people say it's $33 million guaranteed, there's a lot of nuances that people don't understand. So I'm going to actually burst one of these bubbles real quick. For example, the Pittsburgh Steelers are one or two teams, since we're talking about Pittsburgh Steelers, they're one or two teams, once a player gets to their second contract, they don't fully guarantee no more than the first year of that second contract. So essentially what that means in plain English is that if he signs that 5-year, $70 million contract, the first year will be approximately $15 million, And then the guarantees going into the second year is not fully guaranteed. Meaning, if Davion in that contract says, well, we guarantee the other $15 million if you show up to work on time. We guarantee the other $15 million if you don't get caught up in some type of situation off the field. We guarantee that $15 million if you play all 17 games. We guarantee that if your mama cooks you dinner once a week. There's a lot of language in this that literally the players do not read or haven't read for many, many years. And the agents that represent them get them in their contracts, which we call team friendly, and then turn around at the end of the day, locked in for 5 years. That guy, no matter what he does next year, can no longer do anything different. He's under control by the actual team. And therefore, that situation is what it is. So when it comes to LeVeon Bell, his situation is if I take $14 million right now, next year I can do whatever I want to do, wherever I want to do it, without having the control of the Pittsburgh Steelers. Secondly, even if he loses some money this year, he literally can now sit out to up to 9 games and still accrue his year from the business side and essentially be able to go make as much money as he wants to make, going wherever he wants to make it. So this is what we're talking about right now regarding those certain things. So LeVeon Bell is in a situation now that he has to understand that at 27 years old, if he takes the ball in his hands another 400 times, God forbid he gets hurt, he no longer has leverage. He never will again. And that same contract that the Steelers offered him, 5 years, $70 million, they can cut him without any other problem other than giving up that actual $15 to $30 million over the first 2 years. So essentially what I'm trying to say is that he's going to get that money and then some, and still have control of his direction and where he wants to go based on his level of play. If he's healthy, and again, I tell people all the time, when it comes to sports business, there's 3 things that matter most to the teams in the leagues. Your age, your production, and how healthy you are. As all those things change and transpire, your leverage goes away. LeVeon is healthy right now. He is getting older. So leverage is going away. Sign a 5-year deal. And once again, when these media types keep putting out there, these guys want 5-year deals and long-term contracts and security. There is no long-term security in a 5-year deal. There's a big difference between fully guaranteed and guaranteed. Again, if you need more information, consulting for your own personal situation, check us out at www.prepostgame.com. We'll be able to walk you through that to explain to you what's in your best interest from there. So a lot of the nuances that the fans do not understand based off salary caps and things of that nature, if they wanted to give Le'Veon Bell that money, they can take that money from Ben Roethlisberger. Once again, his production. They say, well, we haven't won a Super Bowl without Le'Veon Bell. So at the end of the day, you haven't won one, and you won 1 or 2 despite of Ben Roethlisberger way back when. I think it was 2005 the last time that he was there. So at the end of the day, if you're going to take that same approach regarding Le'Veon Bell, you can take the same approach regarding Ben Roethlisberger. His coordinator is now left. He's now at Cleveland, Todd Haley. So once again, if Le'Veon Bell isn't there, which draws in all the defense, which allows Ben Roethlisberger to throw all those yards and wonderful passes to Antonio Brown, it's because teams stacked the box on Le'Veon Bell. It's about knowing your worth. And at the end of the day, the game is changing. And again, you see guys such as the guy from Ezekiel Ansah from Detroit, Marcus Lawrence from Dallas Cowboys, and a couple other guys taking franchise tags, not signing long-term deals, understanding the same premise and the same principles. You tell me you want me, you tell me you love me, you call it long-term, but literally, you won't give me, you might offer me a $100 million contract, but only offer me $20 million in guarantees. Fully guaranteed, not guaranteed, like I said. Guaranteed if I don't trip and fall and bump my head, you won't take it away from me. Kirk Cousins led the blueprint last year. Kirk Cousins was franchise tagged twice from the Washington Redskins. The Redskins wanted to sign him to a 5-year, 6-year deal, but yet they didn't want to get the type of support around him that Kirk Cousins was looking for. Kirk Cousins stayed healthy. Kirk Cousins is relatively young. Kirk Cousins produced. He didn't throw interceptions. And Kirk Cousins is sitting as the only player right now with a fully guaranteed contract. 3 years, $84 million, up to $90 million, fully guaranteed. Key phrase, fully. So players, when you're reading your contract, regardless of who your agent may or not be, read it. Fully guaranteed means fully. Clauses. Guaranteed doesn't mean fully guaranteed. You have to understand that. Another part of this people don't understand when they talk about how these teams go about their business when players start to get old. It's called game planning. So Le'Veon Bell takes this actual contract, 5 years, $70 million, and all of a sudden now Pittsburgh decides they want to give the ball to the backup running back every time they get inside the 5-yard line. They decide they want to see if the rookie who had cancer that's now in his second year, James Conner, can get some work in. They all want to see now inside the red zone, can they throw the ball to this tight end? And all of a sudden, at the end of the day, when you're looking at Le'Veon Bell's numbers, they bring him into the office and say, hey, Le'Veon, we love you, but you're not producing like you used to. You're now taking LeVeon Bell off a third down, basically hurting his production. Because guess what it's all about? Production. At the end of the day, when the team sits you in and writes a contract, they base it off of your production, your health, and your actual, like I said, quality of work. So yes, teams, as you get older, they find a way. Fan favorite guys, they do it all the time. Their response, you go into the meeting, all of a sudden you sit down with the quarterback and say, hey, we need to focus on, our game plan is going through this rookie this week. We got to know we got to draft another one or not. You tell the quarterback that so you still believe it's about the team. But the player that been there for so many years and took pay cuts to be on that team, hometown favorites, hometown discounts, not his hometown, but your hometown, you already got in the plan in place based off the budget and the numbers and the salary cap. You're going to let him go next year. He don't know that. So he's basically paying for training. He's paying for agents. He's paying for this. He's paying for that. Not realizing he's about to lose that money because it's not fully guaranteed. Sports is not a game. Sports is all business. Now, how the NCAA ties into all these different things, once again, to show you how jacked up the system really is when they talk about education. The upcoming 2019 NFL draft class means what? These guys understand in the National Football League that it's a draft every year. So essentially, since it's a draft every year, you are trying to get cheap labor to replace me. You're trying to find guys that already been marketed, guys that already have a name, so you can replace Le'Veon Bell regardless of what you put on paper for 5 years. Break it simple. Break it down simple. Every contract in the NFL, and particularly most pro sports, but specifically NFL, it's a 1-year deal. You produce this year, you get to go to the next year. There are a lot of languages, a lot of things in there that teams can do. Take cap hits, trade you, a whole bunch of different things that literally you're not prepared for as a player. But at the end of the day, when you have, again, former GMs who can't be a GM anymore, who get paid to go on these airwaves and continue to try to make people believe that the Pittsburgh Steelers are better off without Le'Veon Bell. Let me tell you guys a little secret too right now, why the NFL might not agree with their assessment. There's this thing called fantasy football these days. And I'm one of those guys, as a player's rep, I play fantasy football. I don't get to watch a lot of games outside of the business that I'm in just to see how things are going. But there are people that watch football simply because of fantasy. They could care less about the Pittsburgh Steelers. They don't pay for DirecTV to watch the Pittsburgh Steelers. They pay DirecTV to watch Le'Veon Bell and their fantasy football team. And if he's not there, you will lose millions and millions of dollars. So for those of you, again, that continue to downplay what these players do and what they're capable of, people are not paying to go to the games to watch the coach walk the sidelines. They're not paying to go to games to look at whose owner name is on the actual building that the taxpayers probably built in the first place. They're going to see the guys that have the best shape, have the best skill set, the best ability to deliver, and help them win a game. So for anybody to believe that Pittsburgh is better off without Le'Veon Bell, has never played football. And for those of you guys in the media, again, that continue to push that agenda, shame on you. We know you never played either. And we know how you go about your business. This is like a scare tactic. That's why I'm doing this podcast now. I put it on record. So and again, Le'Veon Bell is a guy understanding if I don't put my body on the line 400 carries for Pittsburgh next year, when a team is 2-12 and 2-13, need to sell their PSLs, which stands for personal seating licenses. There's a guy out there that got a lot of tread left on his tires that you would love to have. How many of those guys you going to find in the draft that's going to be just as good as him? He'll be there. He'll be ready. My name is Robert T. Green. I'm the CEO of Pre-Post Game. I'm the players rep here to educate, empower, and protect the athletes and their families' best interests alone. Now back to the NCAA about education, how this factors in again. As I said, there's a draft every year. So if it's a draft every year, you talk about players, they don't understand what's what. And they talk about education. They talk about all these things that go into this business that players don't get. Next year's draft class is tabbed already as the best defensive line class possibly ever. The top 3 defensive linemen that are projected to go highest in the draft next year are Nick Bosa from Ohio State defensive end, Ed Oliver from the University of Houston, and Rashawn Gary, a defensive end from the University of Michigan. Here's my point. If you're saying to me that the NFL cares about how many games you won in college, cares what conference you played in, cares how many sacks you got, if that was the case, then Ed Oliver from the University of Houston, who took his 4 or 5 stars to a AAC conference to play for a coach, Tom Herman, who used Ed Oliver to get a job to go to the University of Texas, to have Major Applewhite, a rookie coach, come in, have issues off the field already, to only have Ed Oliver again be projected as a top 5, if not the top 1 pick in next year's National Football League. Do you not think these players in the NFL hear that and not know that? Again, in the real situation regarding drafts, people get drafted because people die. There's nobody dying in sports. Again, cheap labor. Players got to get theirs as soon as they can get it. And they got to do what's best for them and their family. Because the system and the situation and the model has shown that it doesn't work that way. Now, again, you look at these schools like Alabama, you look at these schools like Clemson, you guys go online right now and pull up Alabama's roster, and you tell me how old any of those kids are. See, it's a funny thing. You may not know my age, but I'll tell you I'm 40 years old. So when I look at some of the Alabama's players, I look at some of the things they've done in the past and how they won or didn't win. I look at a player on their roster, they may call him 21, but I can't validate that. I can't find this kid's birthday anywhere. I mean, Google's a powerful thing. Then I go and look at Clemson's D-line. Dabo Swinney gets $56 million for his contract. He gets $55 million to make up this actual facility with nap rooms and wiffle ball and tennis and all these different things. I look at these guys that projected first round. He convinced a guy named Christian Wilkins to come back to the college last year. But then I go look and find out Christian Wilkins is 23 years old already. He'll be going into the NFL at 24. So again, the NFL is about age, production, and health. Christian Wilkins is giving his best football to the NCAA, but they claim it's about education. So when Christian Wilkins, whether he likes it or not, when he gets to the National Football League, he's already behind the 8 ball because he don't know the system. So when you go in as a first-round pick, for those of you guys that don't know, you are on a 4-year, 5th-year team option contract. Means Christian Wilkins, when he has an ability, God willing, if he stays healthy, to get to his second contract, he'll be 29 years old. Whichever team he's on in the National Football League will say, you know what? There's a cheaper guy, there's a more relevant guy that we can get from the NCAA right now. Is Dabo Swinney going to give Christian Wilkins back some of that $56 million? But it's not just talk about just him. His whole D-line. Clint Farrell, 21 years old. If he makes it to the NFL, the size of the league, he'll be 22, 23. Same thing with Austin Bryant. So then I said, let me think about this. So no wonder these guys are winning. Because when you are a grown man playing in college against kids, you should be dominant. You should win. But it's a crying shame that these schools or these kids and these families allow these schools to continue to jeopardize or get involved with their business pertaining to the National Football League, not understanding how this works. If you was going to be a first-round pick last year, you should have been gone because your clock is ticking. Your health is on the line. A 6'4", 300-pound, 23-year-old, your body is not going to get better as you get older. It just does not work that way. And when you lose money, you cannot get that money back. Any athlete, pro, college will tell you that. Your days are numbered. So when you talk about schools like Alabama, and again, this the other day I saw the University of Michigan offered an 8th grader a scholarship. That's great. But nobody talked about that 8th grader was 15 years old. 15. So the 15-year-old, so we call about reclassification. This happens in AAU basketball as well. And this is what I talk about. People talk about back when Manute Bol got to the NBA, he really was probably 7 to 8 years older than he really was. So you got people believing these guys are more talented based off their peers who they're playing with, but the reality is they already maxed and aged out. So if that's the case, once again, the top 3 recruited guys right now that's projected in NFL in the best draft class in that history for the defensive line are all underclassmen who are all 20 years old. So if they are the best, then what are you saying about the guys that literally are sitting there helping make coaches $45, $50, $60 million a year? And then you don't want to pay for their insurance either. How about that? Sports is not a game. Sports is all business. It's a beautiful day out here today. And it's hot and I'm sweating. But I had no choice but to come out here. And I'm probably going to be on the radio show tonight with Mr. Ricky Hampton and Michael Robinson tonight. 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to 11. And I'm going to talk more about this situation. But again, if this video educated and empowered or protects you guys anyway, please like and share, because people need to know and understand. You're not going to hear this on First Take. You're not going to hear this on First Things First. You're not going to hear it on Sirius XM, because once again, all of these things in this business is set up to actually devalue the actual athlete, which without them, there will be no NCAA, there will be no NFL, there will be no NBA. But players and families, you must understand, this is a business. You are a profit margin to them. Again, a draft that happens in 2019, 2018 just happened draft. They already looking to replace you. If there's somebody's better than you next year, if you was an undrafted free agent in the 6th round, please don't waste all your money you get thinking you're going to be there for 15 years. They didn't make that an investment in you already, and they looking to replace you next year today, before the season even started. All right, again, you guys can hashtag what you need to know, not what you want to hear. For more information, for your own consultation, for advice, for more, you can hashtag the Players Rep. You can check us out at prepostgame.com. Again, my name is Robert T. Green. I'm the CEO of Pre-Postgame, here to educate and empower and protect the athlete's best interests alone. You guys be well, and God bless.